Okay, here's a little time saver when you're dealing with quadratic equations. A little program in your calculator that'll easily help you find x-intercepts for any quadratic function or quadratic equation. So what we're going to do is create a program in our calculator. And how we're going to do that is, if you go to this button right here, sort of in the middle, PRGM, that's program. If you click on that, this may be empty. This is a list of other programs, but what we can do is go over to New, say Create New, and we'll hit Enter. And it'll ask for the program name. This blinking A means alpha or letter characters. So if you see this green button, alpha, and then above these, when we hit second function, we have different things, but if we hit this alpha button, you'll see these green letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, etc., etc., etc. So you can type in words, and then down here we've got quotations, we've got a question mark, we've got a space bar. So I'm just going to type in QF, so it stands for quadratic formula. You can name it anything you want. And then we'll hit Enter. And then what we have here is a little, basically we're writing a little computer program to tell the calculator to do some things. And what we're going to use a lot is this little button, the program button. So the first thing we're going to do is hit program. We've got these three little menus, and I'm going to scroll over to the right to one. And I'm going to go down to this prompt. So what prompt does is it says input something that calculator will ask you. So we've got in our quadratic equation y equals a squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to enter the a, b, and the c. So prompt, so I'll hit alpha a, and then I'll come down to comma, which is right here above the 7, so comma, and alpha b, comma, alpha c, and hit enter. So that's our first command. So the calculator is going to ask us to enter a, b, and c. Then what we're going to do is, if the part in the quadratic equation, which is b squared minus 4ac, if that's less than 0, we have no intercepts. So program, right there at the top is if. So enter if alpha b, arrow 2, so b squared minus 4 times alpha a times alpha c, and then we'll go second function test. That gives us equals, all these little signs. So we'll go down to less than, hit enter, 0. So something's going to happen if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. Hit enter, program, and go down to then. Hit enter again, program. Go over to scroll over to I/O and go down to disp, which means display. So what we're going to do is, if this is true, then what we're going to do is write something on the screen. So we'll go to alpha, quotations, and then I'm just going to type something in. So alpha. So I'll hit alpha every time I want to type in a letter. So here's N, alpha no, space, alpha X, space, and you can type in whatever you want. I'm just going to type in no x-intercepts. So I-N-T-E S, and then close quotations. So if it's less, b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, then it's going to say that there are no x-intercepts. Enter, so new command, program, and go down to else. Hit enter. Enter again. So if this is less than 0, then something will happen. Else means if that's not true. So if b squared minus 4ac is greater than or equal to 0, something else will happen. And here's where we use the. So this is the part where we're going to type in our quadratic formula. So we've got the negative b plus or minus squared 4b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So if this thing in here is greater than or equal to 0, we're going to have intercepts. So we're going to type in these two intercepts, and we have to do two parts. So first we're going to do negative b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And then we're going to do negative b minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay? So the first part's going to be, so we've got to make sure we do some parentheses. So we're going to have the top part in parentheses divided by the bottom part in parentheses. So we've got opposite alpha b plus, in parentheses, b squared minus 4 times a times alpha c, parentheses. So that whole thing is raised to the 1/2 power, or the 0.5 power. Remember, square roots. Square root is, the exponent is 1 over 2, or 1/2. So there's the top, negative b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac, divided by 2 times a. So that is going to be one of our intercepts. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit this button down here, right toward the bottom, STO. And we're going to call that, let's say, X. So this arrow means we're going to store this value in X. Enter, and then we're going to do the same thing. So negative b minus b squared minus 4 times a times c raised to the 1/2 power. That's the top divided by 2 times a, which is the denominator. And then we'll hit STO again, and let's do alpha y. So we've got two solutions here possibly. The first one is going to be put into something called x, and this is going to be put into something called y. And then what we're going to do is something, so we'll go program, over to IO, down to disp, because we're going to display something. And let's just say, so we'll do quote, and then x space and again, you can type whatever you want. The screen's kind of small, so it might not all show up if you have some big, long, drawn-out paragraph about what just happened. What I'm going to do is simply, so colon, and then a space, and then close the parenthesis, or close the quotes, so it's going to display those words, and then I'll do comma, x, comma, alpha, y. So the comma goes to a new line, the x, it'll print out the first solution, and then the second solution. And then we'll press enter, and there's your program. So we'll do second function quit, which gets us out of there. And then we can go to our programs. Program, and we'll go down to, there's QF. And it's on exec means execute, so we'll hit enter. It says, okay, we're going to run program QF. Hit enter. Now I'll do an example. If we've got a parabola and the equation is y equals x squared plus 5. So y equals x squared plus 5. A equals 1, B equals 0, and C equals 5. So we know, so we'll enter A is 1. This is that prompt. B equals 0. C equals 5. So we know that parabola, x squared plus 5, is just the graph of x squared moved up 5 units. So it opens upward. It's completely above the x-axis, so there are no x-intercepts. So hopefully, hit enter, drum roll, no x-intercepts. Perfect. So that was that part, that first little command that said if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, print out this. So it worked. Now, if we hit enter again, it'll ask us for another set of a, b, and c. So let's think of the parabola x squared minus 4. So x squared minus 4 is a parabola that's been moved down by 4. And we know that, or I'll tell you. So if you slide that down, so we've got x squared minus y equals x squared minus 4. If we've got formula y equals x squared minus 4, we can find those x-intercepts relatively easily. So when y equals 0, we'll solve for x. X squared minus 4, add 4 to both sides. And then when we take the square root on both sides, we get x equals plus or minus 2. So in this case, the two x-intercepts are 2 and negative 2. Going back to our calculator, what happens when a is 1, b is 0, and c is negative 4? X-intercepts 2 and negative 2. So any quadratic formula you have, any quadratic equation, if you know a, b, and c, you can come up with the x-intercept. So here's x equals 1, 7, 10. So this is x squared plus 7x plus 10, and I know that the two intercepts are negative 2 and negative 5, because it's my favorite quadratic equation. Enter x-intercepts, negative 2, negative 5. So pick any value of a, b, and c. Calculator will tell you what the answer is. So a little bit of work typing in the program, but once it's done, you'll never, ever, ever, ever have to use a quadratic formula ever again. But you're still allowed to sing the little song. That's it.